Writing list articles. Could you please describe exactly what a list article is and why they are popular? Well, a list article, and I talked about this earlier, but a list article is basically where you give somebody a list of things like steps, tricks, mistakes, tools, questions, things like that. So, 5 steps to publish on Kindle, 3 tricks to teach your dog this weekend, 5 mistakes to avoid in cruising and taking a cruise, something like that. 4 tools every insurance agent needs. 7 questions every home buyer needs to ask. So they're actually really, really easy to write because, let's say, in my mind, 500 words is the minimum article length, but for some people it's less, and so that's another thing when you're talking to somebody, what's the definition of how long the article should be. If you think about it, all articles have an intro and a conclusion, and assume that they're 50 words each, which isn't that long. It's a couple 3 sentences. So now we got 400 words to do 5 things. 5 steps, that's 80 words a pop. 3 tricks, that's 150 words a pop. 5 mistakes, 4, that's 100. 7, now you're talking 50 words a pop. So it's really only a couple, 3, 4 sentences max that you need to write about each thing. So it's easy to write because you don't have to go real in depth. The reason that they're popular is because people want to know what they are. It's just one of those human psychology things that people want to know. Okay, what are the 5 steps? I think I know what they are, but it's so specific. What are 3 tricks to doing this? What are 5 mistakes to avoid on a cruise, especially with stuff being in the news of mystery illnesses, which I'm sure just will be the norovirus. 7 questions every homeowner needs to ask. It's just how it works, and people love them. And a lot of the times I'm writing list articles and don't even realize it. So like this article I just published yesterday. On 7dayebook.com/blog. The fear that stops most would-be authors dead. This is actually a list article. Didn't even mean for it to be, but it's just kind of how it turned out. So how do I get myself to believe it's worth the time and pressure to make myself write a book when there are so many books that go nowhere? So I just rattled off. I made a little outline. Okay, you got to know your audience, focus on problems, questions, or roadblocks, define success for you ahead of time, avoid the one book lottery mentality, and what is a best-selling author really, and then a really easy call to action here that basically just says, Jim Edwards is the author of way too many books to try listing here. You can learn his secrets for writing and publishing your own outrageously successful ebook here at 7dayebook.com. So this is a list article. This article is about 700 words-ish, and it took me 20 minutes to write. So that wasn't too bad. So there you go. So a list article doesn't necessarily have to be a list, but if I had wanted to use a list topic, then it would be, 5 things, five critical factors to creating a bestseller. Maybe something like that. And then that's how I would have done it. So the point is, list articles, especially if you haven't written a lot of articles before, or if you have written a bunch of articles, it's a super simple way to create content, and it's an easy way for people to absorb content because it's got structure and it's got a very specific promise in the headline. And so it's really a win-win-win. It's easy for you to write, it's easy for them to read, and it's easy for them to get a result. So if you need some help with your writing, 2 resources that I mentioned before: How to Write and Publish Your Own Ebook in as little as 7 days, version 2.0. You can go to 7dayebook.com and you can get the best course on the entire internet for writing and publishing an ebook for $29. You can't beat it. And if you bought it 10 years ago, I've updated it. I've added a bunch of stuff. And so if you need to, buy it again. Get the new version. And turn words into traffic for the article writing education part. You go to turnwordsintotraffic.com. This will teach you how to write a kick-ass article. But I will just admit freely right up front that the stuff about promoting articles is somewhat dated in some spots. So I'm Jim Edwards. I hope you enjoyed this.